cider and a switchblade knife. Rob the dog on his motorbike. Looking for legends on the Sunset Strip with a stone cold paranormal partnership. That's what town Rick tried to sell me some crack. Listen to the podcast, man, and take that shit back. It's Urban Legends, the podcast about urban legends. And here your host, Neil and Chris. You'll receive our pod in your ears tonight. I got my hand on the cannon, girl, it's getting real hot. Ready, game, fire, 'cause sex marks the spot. Hello and welcome to Urban Legends, the hit podcast about urban legends, which is largest on the internet by volume. I am one of your
lighter out on dinner.
Got your lighter out. I'm Chris Flynn, and the guy with his lighter out and his tits out is Mr.
Get him out for the lads.
Get him out for the lads. What's your name? What's your name, cuz?
It's Neil Herbert, bruv.
Neil Herbert, bruv. That was, of course, the most famous song of the 80s cock rock band, the Sex Pirates, and that was the song Sex Marks the Spot.
They certainly were.
Often considered the not haunted, what would it be, you know, like the cursed. They were a cursed band because they all they had that first album and they were doing pretty well, but then they all four of them died, didn't they, afterwards? Do you remember that, Neil? There was the drummer was the first to go, heroin overdose. It
was shocking. I mean, considering the amount of drugs they took, nobody could have foreseen they would have all died young.
Absolutely. The second one to die was during a drug deal gone bad. Yeah. That was the bassist.
Gone down, didn't he, in a pub in East London?
Yep.
There was some cheap whiz. Yeah.
For some reason he was there instead of Los Angeles.
Yeah. Then, he was touring, wasn't he? He was touring.
Yeah, they were touring.
Any dive, any sleazy dive, that's where they can be found. Partying the night away. The cheapest of drugs.
Yeah, the lead guitarist, of course, died in a motorcycle accident where he rammed into someone dressed up as a dinosaur, and both of them died. And the toxicology reports came back, and he had a lot of heroin in the system. So
it's Gunnosaurus, wasn't it?
It was.
It was on holiday. He was in LA at that time. Actually,
for
some
reason
he took his costume over there with him.
Well,
the padding helped.
He was comfortable.
And the padding also saved his life.
Yep.
A bit of a limp for the rest of his life, but
Yep. And of course, the last one to die was the lead singer, who wasn't killed by drugs. He was actually, and it's all the information we have. It was all that was released because of court stuff. But he was killed by Paul Verhoeven's monkey. So make of that what you will.
It's one of those little capuchin monkeys, wasn't
it? Tiny monkey, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Verhoeven famously kept a tribe of capuchin monkeys around his LA mansion, didn't he?
So I've heard.
Well,
I don't know. I don't want any of this to be libelous. I mean, it's the sort of thing you could infer from the pop bitch columns and stuff, can't you? But
yeah. So just thought I'd give them a little, because I like that song, so I gave it a little go, and it kind of fits in with our series theme. Okay, Twinkle Toes, how's life been treating you?
All right. It's not been too bad, has it? Yeah, weather's been a bit grim, but can't have it all. Yeah. Mind you, it's could be worse. It's as
could
we
be
speak.
On fire.
I think, well, exactly. I think most of Central Europe seems to be sort of like ablaze at the moment, so that's a bit of a shame. Well,
and we've got our delicious
in
rain.
Rhodes as well.
In
Rhodes, there's forest fires, isn't there? Which we've been to Rhodes many years ago.
We have, to what was the name of it?
Oh God, no, you got me. Patmos was an island we went to afterwards.
It's got a little church.
St Paul's Bay is where the church is, but now I can't. Lindos, I think. Actually.
Lindos,
and there's something with
Lindos
P.
Lusardi.
Yeah, something beginning with P. There's another bay down the road that we went down to.
That place looks horrible.
Apparently it's quite nice, but yeah,
Lindos.
Lindos is actually very nice. So yeah.
Do you remember when we were drinking in Lindos, and then we just thought, because Lindos is like one of those, for people who haven't been there, Lindos is kind of like one of those on the side of a hill kind of Greek towns with like loads of stairways and alleyways, like the Labyrinth or an Escher painting, wood carving. And we thought we'd try and take a little shortcut.
We ended up climbing up the side of a hotel to get back to a hotel room. I think we had a villa, weren't we? I think we had a villa.
We did quite a lot of scrambling over hills, didn't we?
Because like a couple of mountain goats. Well, it's just, we're both easily confused, especially after a few brews, and it's kind of like...
this way will be quicker, and then you end up scrambling on the side of the mountain.
No, just go around this corner and then we'll be fine. But I think I remember as well the first night you were determined to get down to the beach, and you can't really, it's not really how it works, I think, in a lot of Greek islands. There's not like a proper, like sand mixed water area. It'd be off the side of a cliff or something. So... although you're surrounded by water, there's not always kind of like a little bay or something, or if there is, it's on the other side of the island. You've got to take a boat round there, or take an extensive travel around with a taxi. But so I do remember spending the first night and spending about an hour trying to get down to the beach. I'm like, I don't think we're gonna.
I don't think there is a beach.
Yeah, no, we did discover Mythos that night, so that was good. Very nice, Greek beer. Greek beer. Those who haven't tried that.
And there was the other time when we were walking to that other town which you mentioned, and basically it's over, so it's where it is it's right by where they filmed the Guns of Navarone, right? That's the cliffs that are there, and there was a road going up the side of the sort of mountain bit, which was like kind of curly whirly kind of S shaped, and we decided just to try and do As the Crow Flies.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than going all the way round the roads, we just tried to climb up the bits of mountain in between. It was good fun, though. You were very game. I was impressed by how game you were.
It felt very like the Guns of Navarone clambering up that thing. But it wasn't exactly rock climbing, but it wasn't. Well, I do see you see all the little mountain goats around, don't you? And they sort of get up and down it quite easily.
Delicious, though, aren't they?
I did have some goat stew and some. Was it Syros we went to afterwards? Yeah.
Nice bit of goat stew. It's a nice meat.
It is, yeah. I don't know. It is. You get more of it in this country. Unfortunately, it's very hard to find. But anyway.
So, Neil, has anything caught your eye over the last week? The change of Twitter into X. Have you enjoyed that?
I mean, I think I've told you this before, probably off pod, but it's I have a little bit of a thing. No, because I've kind of like just muted Mr. Musk now because I just couldn't be bothered with his nonsense anymore. I think you don't have to unfollow or whatever, but you can. Or I wasn't following him, but he basically keeps turning up. Yeah, I didn't formally block, but I think you can do a thing.
I formally blocked him. I put paperwork in with Inland Revenue.
I just assume that means the algorithm then means he engages with him even further. So I just did like a mute because
he DMs me all the time now.
Yeah, what's the benefits? Got a problem with me?
He put a Trojan in my computer, so whenever it loads up and I try and go on the internet, the only page it will go to is his OnlyFans.
X.com, which is going to... Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. Like, it's like a car crash in slow motion, isn't it? And it's just really weird to see
it's quite fast motion, really, like for an organisation.
For an organisation, yeah, it's impressive work how we've managed to spunk away all the goodwill and everything and sort of like drive it into the ground. But I don't know, it's quite an amusing sort of little tale of corporate. Thing is, it wouldn't be anywhere near as funny if it was just him driving into the ground. The fact that all of his fuck buddies on there are just kind of like, no, wait, this is genius. Excuse me, are you a billionaire? No, I don't think so. It's like that Mr. Show sketch where it's like, everyone's IQ is related into their net worth. And it's like,
oh, really?
Yeah, well, he uses the look at this Einstein as a disparaging thing for Einstein. It's like, look at this guy, cleverest guy in the world, supposedly. He didn't billionaire. What an Einstein! Slagging off anyone who's not rich. It's like,
Who was that? They do the Mr. Show sketch where David Cross plays like a tech guy who's like making them all have frozen yogurt. It's just like ice cream. It's like soy yogurt or something.
Oh, I don't remember.
And if you displease him, then you end up having to go and work on his goat farm or something. Nanadu, I think it's called. Mr. Show there. That's another relevant, up-to-date
25 years after. But for those of you who want to, maybe you've enjoyed Better Call Saul or something like that, and you'd like to see what Bob Odenkirk was into 25 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
It's a classic sketch show though. So yeah, if you haven't heard of it, it would thoroughly recommend.
It was very influential in America because it was one of the first kind of surrealist sorts of sketch shows that they had. So, speaking of surreal, Neil, I've got quite a surreal topic for us to discuss today. It's one of the weirder ones that I've seen. I've only heard about it this morning, but I have got some articles up. So, have you got any more stuff to say, or shall I crack on?
No, I think we can dive into the Twitter cesspit a bit more next week. It tends to just crop up anyway. But
yeah, okay. So this week we're going to be looking at the Black Stick Man phenomenon.
Okay, is this a creepypasta by any chance?
Maybe.
Okay, that's a yes.
There are pictures.
Oh, right. Okay, some evidence.
It's a cryptid essentially.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Has it been in the 14 Times?
I don't know, Neil. You could look that up, couldn't you?
Yeah.
While we're talking.
I could activate my subscription.
What, do staff writers need subscriptions?
It's true.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of articles on it, kind of give descriptors and that kind of jazz.
I've never heard of it, so I look forward to roll my sleeves up and sort of get ready for action on this.
And then I've got...
It's slightly close to the microphone for some reason, I'm not entirely sure.
No, it's weird.
That's off-putting.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, I can see your individual pores.
I've made sure that the camera's maximising the visibility of those. Yep.
Yeah, it's like having a tangerine really close up to my eye.
Nice.
A pink sweaty tangerine.
A bit more orange. Yeah.
And then I'm going to go through 3 reported encounters. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the Black Stick Man phenomenon. So we're starting.
Crack on.
We're starting on the website.
The Black Stick Man phenomenon.
Yes, we're starting on the website thespiritseekers.wordpress.com. And this was posted on March 27th, 2012 by Spirit blog editor in Paranormal Phenomena, Tony Harrington.
Tony, thank you.
Hi, Tony Harrington here. I understand you were looking for a jacket. And the picture they've got here is, I don't know if you're aware of the artist Giacometti, but he did the bronzes of the long kind of elongated figures.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Amongst other things, one of my favourite artists.
Okay, yeah.
So, this has got 4 stars out of 25 votes, so it's not a bad score.
Oh, I like the fact that they've got people ranking it. It tells you you've got some quality. You can,
yeah. Unlike our listeners who refuse to rank us.
Well, that's probably a reason for that.
It's not even worth a click.
Yeah.
So, in the world of the paranormal, there is seldom anything new to write home about. Ghosts are ghosts, after all, the tried and true staples of an investigator's diet.
Yeah, it sounds like a cynic. He's obviously jaded.
Yeah.
He's been doing the paranormal beat for too many years. Oh, Ghost, is it?
Oh, Ghost. Oh.
Another egotistical fuckhead in a blanket. I've seen a million of those. Oh, just absolute proof of the afterlife. Fuck off.
Boring. God, Dan Aykroyd's got a lot to answer for. Rarely do we see an emergence of a new phenomenon. We might see an old
already
type.
evidence of the old phenomenon that people are going on about. That's probably more my point. But anyway, if any of it actually turned out to be true, that would be actually.
You're coming in spicy today,
I'm coming
Neil.
in
What's
hot,
all this
yeah.
about?
It's supply.
Get the Savlon out, everyone.
Oh, rolled up. I don't know why.
Neil's going to burn up on re-entry.
2 coffees this morning. Watch out.
He's blazing. So, we might see an older type of entity experience a resurgence in popularity due to a high-profile exposure on shows like Ghost Hunters or Destination Truth. But that's
Destination Truth. I like that one.
Destination Truth.
We're taking the long way around, aren't we? I take your word for it that we're going to end up there, but we're taking the scenic route.
There are a lot of roadworks, are there, on the way to Truth?
You sure you've programmed that sat-nav right? We seem to be heading in the opposite direction.
We seem to be heading to Conjectureville.
Yeah.
But that's not the same as a true emergence of a previously undocumented event. This theory was flipped on its ear, which is the first time I've heard that say. It's obviously a big fan of Mongolian ear wrestling.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't be?
That's where I get all of my metaphors from. Yeah. In 2009, when website www.listverse.com featured black stick men as one of their top 10 most bizarre modern paranormal phenomena.
Ooh, but what are they? I ask myself.
The list, which includes black-eyed kids, done.
Yeah, boring.
Dog-headed man, not done.
Oh no, I like that.
Yeah,
like that Egyptian fella. I'll have a bit of that.
What's his name? Anthony? I think it was Anthony.
Yeah, I think it was Bez.
No, Bez was the one with.
Yeah, he's hanging out with like.
Bez was the one with the eagle face.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And other cryptids immediately caught fire due to their inclusion of the black stick men. As it turns out, there was something to be said of the recent phenomenon.
Mm.
Black stick men are just that, walking stick figures, the kind that you would draw as a child or an adult if you lacked any ability to draw whatsoever. Yeah, all right, mate.
You got to learn. You know, you start out with lines, and then you maybe, oh no, there's chiaroscuro on this. Well, maybe just allow me to develop.
Yeah, and you know, it should be about an enjoyment. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone's like you don't have to sell your art to make it worthwhile.
Come to this chump, you do.
The male gender is usually attached to the figuras, though to be honest, they seem rather gender neutral.
Yeah, where's he getting that from? Or is it the fact that they call them he's or something?
Well, I think it's because the ones like they don't have like a
dangling little stick penis.
They don't have they don't have a triangle in like as a dress.
Oh right, okay.
Probably.
Yeah, fair enough.
The figures have been described as unusually tall, black in appearance, lacking any facial or bodily features, and very lean. Their appearance has been documented on message forums and websites since 2008, and unlike shadow people as a whole, do not coincide with a mention on ghost hunting or other paranormal programs. Ghost hunters or paranormal programs.
I'm struggling to picture these things. It sounds a bit like...
What's wrong with you? Just tall, skinny, black lads walking about.
But they look like things that you draw on a pencil. I'm thinking of there was a horror movie in the 80s called Paper House or something. Where
like stick men.
She drew little things.
I'll draw one now.
Come out and... Well, I know what a stick man looks like. What they call black
why are you struggling then?
No, I mean like actually seeing one walking down the high street. Yeah, get that. If it's just drawn on paper. I mean... But no, let's suppose you're walking down like Western Road.
Yeah.
And one of those, pops out. That'd be a bit weird.
It seems unlikely that that's where they would choose to go. They probably aren't walking down the main shopping street.
Well, it's good enough for the Lemurians. It's good enough for the Black Stickmen, frankly.
I don't think that the small town which the Lemurians went to was the equivalent of Western Road in Brighton.
Well, I reckon they'd like a party.
Well, they might like a party. That's neither here nor there, Neil.
Well.
Yeah, so you imagine that, like that, but they're really thin. So they would, like made out of broom handles or something, I guess.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
I don't think they're two-dimensional.
I mean, that would be weird, wouldn't it?
That would be weird.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if, like, you walk past them and then there was just nothing there.
Yeah. Like Flat Eric.
Would it be more interesting?
You get up some hijinks there, couldn't they? Like Flat Eric.
So Flat Eric, the puppet in the Levi's advert who did that song?
I think he might have been. I believe it also. I might be misremembering this, but it was the children's book I read when I was probably about 5. So it was a kid and his wardrobe fell over and crushed him.
Oh, okay, that's good fun.
And it became,
end of story.
Yeah.
Was it German by any chance?
died of a bleed on his brain. No. Instead, he was sort of like squished flat.
So he could go under doors.
So he could go under doors and get into hijinks and post himself in envelopes and things like that. It wasn't terribly realistic, but I was I think.
So
Google this.
I'll probably, maybe this is an off-pod thing for you to look up. Flat Eric.
Very important. You carry on, Chris. I'll do a bit of research.
Do you know what I've been having? Do you remember those?
Flat Stanley. That's what it's called.
Flat Stanley.
Stanley Lamb Chop.
Stanley Lamb Chop.
He's an ordinary boy, at least he was, until the night his bulletin board fell off the wall and flattened him. All of a sudden, Stanley can slide under doors.
His bulletin board?
Yeah.
What, did he live out?
He had like a big sort of thing that he could...
Corkboard.
Corkboard, yeah.
For murders and stuff.
And he can fly like a kite. But flatness has its serious side as well.
Such as?
I can't remember. It's been years since I read that. It's probably like 5.
Do you remember those... I was remembering this the other day. I'm getting a lot of memories back from when I was younger. The longer it's been since I had a drink.
This is how dementia starts. Don't worry.
Do you remember those things? Do you remember those like books and stuff you'd get, and you'd get like a sort of magnifying glass, like a fake magnifying glass made of cards, but it'd have like red see-through PVC, and so when you looked at, when you ran it over the picture, you'd see stuff that wasn't there, like through the red PVC.
I don't recall having had that. No.
Okay.
So there'd be stuff that was kind of like printed on there in an ink that you could only see through the red lens. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I remember 3D glasses being popular in they tried it in the 80s and the 90s. You'd have a picture or something and you put on those terrible specs and you're like, oh, this is almost like a...
Got a pair of 3D glasses right here, Neil, right next to the computer from when I went to see Kraftwerk, because it was 3D sort of.
What, old school, kind of like red and green or red and blue or whatever?
Yeah.
Nice.
And the operator of my pocket calculator. So that's Kraftwerk covered. So
good. We're good at staying on point today. It's good.
That's all good. It's all good. There's not a lot to it, so this is good.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll pad it out. We'll pad it out with some bollocks. With more bollocks.
So, could they be part of a viral marketing campaign in similar fashion to an alien being caught on a game camera in Louisiana turned out to be viral marketing for the film Super 8? Or could they be some part of a collective of urban legends? The complete lack of photographic or video evidence quickly, although I've seen some pictures now, so he's behind the times.
Ooh, okay.
The complete lack of photographic or video evidence quickly discounts the fact that these stories are part of a marketing campaign of any sort. They also do not appear to be centralized to one location, such as the mysterious www.thisman.org website, which seems to be more of a performance art piece rather than a fully realized otherworldly phenomenon. Also, there is no friend of a friend accounts to tie these encounters to an urban legend. Again, I've found some. Hey, I'm a journalist, Neil. I've got my fingers
down the facts.
Got my fingers on the trigger. The trigger
gun
of
of truth.
The grenade of speculation.
Nice.
The cluster bomb of true facts.
Veracity.
So, the details involved in the accounts are scant at best, mostly fleeting glimpses. So, unlike true urban legend, there is no moral or sense of irony. The details of what little there are about these creatures / apparitions seems to be consistent from story to story. The appearance usually takes place along a deserted road or in alleyways, away from the bright lights and bright eyes. That's where you like creeping about, innit?
Yeah.
Creeping.
Don't want to be too well lit.
The person encountering the stick men more times than not reports of being tired. Oh. The figures move smoothly as if gliding. They do not make any sound, although the air around them is reportedly charged with static.
Oh.
Crackle. The actual stickmen themselves seem indifferent to us unless provoked or if they realise they've been spotted. Then they will flee quickly, or in some rare instances, will approach quickly in a frightening display of aggravation.
Oh, you stick twat. Do you want some?
Oi, Sticky! Fuck off back to a kid's drawing, you prick. However...
Well, you barely three-dimensional twats.
If you're going to come over here, at least learn a third dimension. However, there have been no reported instances of anyone being touched or harmed by the mysterious beings. The only indications of their intent have been reports of vague feelings of malevolence, though some feel this has to do with the disturbances in the atmospheric / barometric pressures that often accompany the sightings. Are they paranormal? Who's to say? Most of the accounts are not associated with a known haunted spot, and most sightings are not tied to any other ghostly phenomenon. They're simply things that exist outside of our realm of the normal. So in that sense, yes, they are paranormal, but not necessarily ghosts of any type. The black stickman phenomenon is fairly new. Not enough research / evidence has been conducted on just what or who they are and why they are visiting us. Could they be ghosts? Yet they could be ghosts, yet they could be aliens as well, if you're inclined to believe that we're not alone in this world.
Be interdimensional beings?
Interdimensional beings, yeah.
That'd be my bet, Chris.
Really?
I'm from a dimension where...
The second dimension, presumably.
Physics works a bit different, yeah. They can exist in our dimension, but it's all a bit confusing.
It's confusing. Either way, to those who have seen the things, they're very real and among us. As to where they go and what they do once out of the line of sight can only be speculated. Have you encountered one of these mysterious beings? If so, please share your story with us in the comments below. And no, have they? Anyone done that? So, there's 549 thoughts on the phenomenon.
Oh. People sarcastically claiming that they've been involved with the black stick man.
Certainly. Might come back to that at the end.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
It is a bit of fun.
The same joke being repeated 50 times. That's the thing I like.
I like it where people go, I might be alone in this opinion when that opinion's been said a billion times above it. That's
I don't know why it's so controversial, but...
So, I'm going to give a little summary bit here from Villains Wiki, villains.fandom.com.
Okay, yeah.
So they are considered, Neil...
Hostile species.
A hostile species.
They don't sound that hostile from
the description. They don't sound hostile at all.
Yeah.
They sound less hostile than the humans.
Well, they're the real,
as ever,
who's the real villain?
Humans. Don't fear us, human. We only want to tell you about Black Stick Men.
Right, I'm gonna look up humans on Villains Wiki to see if
so
assessment the real villains.
So I'm going to go through their little sort of card bit, like the little summary at the side. So full name, Black Stick Men. Aliases, none. Origin, folklore. Homeworld, unknown. most likely another dimension.
Ooh.
Abilities, electrical production, hypnotism, abnormal movement, not sure I'd consider that an ability, enhanced elasticity.
That might make you very good with, especially with the enhanced elasticity at the sort of like rhythmic gymnastics or something. You'd be hell getting a medal over them little pencil necks, but
yeah, just fall off on that. I haven't got any shoulders.
Yeah, just go straight through.
Chinless wonders.
Yeah, they wouldn't be so good with the ribbons, would they? But
I don't know if they've got. I don't
know if
they've got stick fingers. They might have stick fingers.
Yeah, or they just got like stumps.
Yeah, we don't know.
Just pencil.
We simply don't. We simply need more research.
Yeah, it's too early. I feel like we're going to have to come back to this, Chris, because I feel like
we're in
another couple of decades of we're in on the ground floor.
So their members are unidentified black stick men. Their hobbies, none. Their goals are unknown. They've got the crime of brainwashing. I don't know where we're getting that from. And the type of hostile species, interdimensional cryptids. So they're enigmatic entities. However, they are linked to ancient beings depicted in some cave drawings.
Okay, yeah, because they tend to be sort of stick figures, don't they?
That's right. Which some groups believe are a sign of ancient aliens, could it be? Or extra-dimensional travellers.
Yeah, it was not just like a figurative way that they were drawing people or even animals or anything.
No.
Literally, there were just lots. In the ancient world, Chris, there was a lot more two-dimensional pencil beings, but yeah.
Yeah, they died out, didn't they?
They died out,
hunted
to extinction, but yeah.
Well, some claim that we actually just
humanity, who were the real villains.
We just intermingled with them, and actually, red hair is a sign that you have black stickman DNA.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, actually, 7% of your DNA is stickman DNA. So
that's why we got the shape.
Yeah, that's why we like to doodle stick characters. It's genetic memory. It's like using collective unconscious.
It's very much like Assassin's Creed in that way, isn't it?
Yeah. Trying to remind ourselves of our origins.
Quick run through here. Sightings and descriptions. Black stick men are humanoid beings that resemble stick figure drawings. In addition, they lack facial features, be it eyes, nose, or mouth. Despite the name, the species is genderless. They're said to vary in height, some ranging from that of a normal human to several feet in length. What is especially peculiar about this creature is how they appear to be entirely two-dimensional. Oh, okay. They allegedly possess no shadow, and their methods of communication are also unclear. Witnesses have reported that black stick men are charged with electricity and static. So, unlike other paranormal creatures, they aren't connected to any particular paranormal event. Rather, they manifest themselves without any prompts. As for where these humanoids came from, there are multiple theories. One of them states that because of their two-dimensional physique, many conclude that they were most likely natives of another dimension. Other theories infer that black stick men are actually demonic entities, similar to shadow people. Black stick men are also theorized to be peaceful entities that aren't aware of their effects on humanity, and they simply wish to travel. However, there is no definitive confirmation that they are related to shadow people. One of the more less sinister theories, interesting, is that they are merely a manifestation of a person's psyche, much like tulpas, doppelgangers, or a malevolent entity known as fetch. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here I don't know about. I know doppelgangers, sort of.
Yeah, tulpa I've heard of. I think they threw that in the Twin Peaks. It's basically like a manifestation of a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? And what's it? How's it manifesting?
Somebody can just create like it's out of ill will or whatever. They can just literally manifest a human being, but then they don't have soul or anything. They look like a human being. They walk and talk and everything. But
right. Okay.
Oh, yeah, Tibetan mysticism. So I think it was something to do with Buddhism or something like that. But
so while, and I don't know what the entity known as Fetch is, so no confirmed attacks. It is plausible that these creatures emit negative energy. So what's this, sorry? While there are no confirmed attacks on witnesses by Black Stick, and many have reported feelings of aggression and agitation from the encounter, it's plausible these creatures emit negative energy from them or may feed on negative energy, much like astral vampires.
Okay, astral vampires, yeah.
Yeah, if Black Stick Man is discovered, it would create a movement that mesmerizes the eyewitness.
I mean, it's interestingly written, isn't it, these bits? But I mean, I'm seeing a clue because on the Villains Wiki it says, "Hi, this is the Secret 1070. I am an admin of this site. Edit as much as you wish, but one little thing: if you're going to edit a lot, make yourself a user and log in. Other than that, enjoy." So I think anyone can just come in and put whatever they like.
Do you think it's kind of slightly done by committee?
Yeah, I mean, so is Wikipedia, and that's a reasonably decent source.
Yeah,
don't go relying on it. Just cross-reference all of your references.
Yeah.
But,
so on Obscureban Legends wiki, the possible explanation, it says there are several explanations as to what the creature could be. Theories include a hoax, and that's it.
It's a good theory. I mean, that's more an opinion than a theory, isn't it?
That's a theory. I theorise it's a hoax.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, that's a pretty sound theory, I would suggest.
So I'm going to go through some notable encounters now, Neil.
Go on, yeah.
So what do you think of them so far? Would they scare you?
If I saw one out in the wild, I mean, I'm trying to sort of picture what it would exactly look like. So I'm kind of just...
So if you type...
I have seen some pictures now, and they kind of like shadows, and then I got bored and looked up Evildoer Skin Tom. I've gone to Villains fandom, so yeah, I've got but then a little fella popped up called Skin Tom.
Skin Tom.
We might be coming back to him one day. Just looks like a bloke he's been flayed alive, basically. But presumably he's up and about, so we'll maybe go back to him some other time. But no, I've got the pictures on villains.wiki. It's a bit sort of Slender Man-y, isn't it? But it's got like one of them cave paintings. I mean, ish. It's just kind of like one of them
like just looks like a long shadow, isn't it?
Yeah, the first one just looks like a long shadow, and then there's like an artist's representation, which does look a bit Slender Man-y to me.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like out in the distance. There's this thing with abnormally long limbs and stuff.
Look, we're lucky to even have that, Neil. This is such a new phenomenon.
That is true, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of compelling stuff here. So let's have a look what else we got. And then there's... I don't even know what that is.
Just in a popular page here called Solar Plexus Clown Gliders. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Stickman Rising. Something in the middle of the sea, which could just be a bunch of twigs.
I think this is a thing, like they, a lot of the pictures, it could just be like a tree, like a couple of branches of a tree. But that's, like very much like stick insects. That could be their camouflage.
I mean, that's the main thing for me. They do remind me a lot of like stick insects or praying mantises or something. I mean, maybe they're just really like, somebody. Because did you have a stick insect when you were a kid? I remember going to some museum and so I ended up sort of buying one for like £1 or something. But my airing heater had just died after about 2 days.
Yeah, why was that? Did we just sold a stick? Do you think?
Yeah, possibly. No, it was alive and everything, but I suspect they don't live very long. I think it's
Is that what you're telling yourself because of your abuse,
my neglect,
abuse and neglect of a stick insect? Where did you buy it? Where did you buy it from? Down the market?
No, I vaguely They're among the most
Bob Boot
popular
Sale, was
things
it?
to keep. No, we were taken to like a natural history museum or something like that, and they showed us stick insects.
Yeah.
You know, kids just lap any old shite, don't they? It's like, oh, you
To me, well, that's a wonderful camouflage that's evolved over hundreds of millions of years.
It was,
think that's any old shite, do you? While you're reading your books about skeleton detectives.
Yeah.
You're fucking, you've got it the wrong way round, son.
Ooh,
You're living in topsy-turvy land.
Well, I think I don't know. It may not have been dedicated solely to stick insects, but I mean, yeah, they're quite.
Well, the whole museum, yeah, I wouldn't have thought so.
I can't remember, Chris, but I do remember we got to the end and they showed a stick insect, so then it was like, oh, you can buy one to keep as a pet.
You should just stick it in your lunchbox.
Probably, do you know what I mean? Probably.
I think
it came with a little.
You put a pepperami in the cage by accident and ate the stick insect.
No, I do remember putting it in the immersion heater and
maybe too hot.
I don't know. It's
I mean, you're clearly not that bothered about it.
It was a long time ago. I was upset when I was,
Oh, is that why you've got that tattoo of a stick insect on your back? Right. Yeah.
That's why I've got this. That's what this third tier is representing.
Yeah, we won't let the viewers know what the first two are.
No. Oh.
Are you looking something up, or shall I get on with the?
I'm just reading about keeping them as pets. That might be.
What, keeping black stickmen as pets?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I might get a black stickman.
Okay.
Can't cost that much, can they?
No, probably not.
I thought.
So Neil, I've got 3 encounters. What voices would you like me to do?
Let's have Mancunian for the first one.
Okay. In 1982, when I was a student nurse at Whaley Hospital, Brentwood in Essex, England, I encountered a stick persons in the grounds of the hospital as I was walking home one night. It looked across the roadway, having been seemingly pressed up against the wall. It stopped when it saw me and raised its arms in fright and quickly walked off into the undergrowth. It was very tall, very thin, extremely long arms and legs, and a very small oval head. Totally black and no obvious clothing. I saw no face, even though it emerged very near a street lamp and it was very well illuminated. I was terrified, and to this day, no one believes me. Simon Howes.
Bit of time in Liverpool, that Mancunian, by the sound of it.
Similar accents.
Yeah, in fact, similar to be So that's an actual sighting. So I was a bit distracted by the
accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
much like a stick insect would camouflage itself.
Yes. Well, I was camouflaging the thinness of the story with the richness of my character acting.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it that they saw? They were out in the...
Did you literally take none of it in?
Yeah, no, I just completely went one ear and out the other.
In 1982, when I was a student nurse at Whaley Hospital, Brentwood in Essex, England, I encountered a stick person in the grounds of the hospital. As I was walking home at night, it loped across the roadway, having been seemingly pressed up against the wall. It stopped when it saw me and raised its arms in fright and quickly walked off into the undergrowth. It was very tall and thin, extremely long arms and legs, and a very small oval head, totally black and no obvious clothing. I saw no face, even though it emerged very near a street lamp, so it was illuminated. I was terrified, and to this day, no one believes me.
You wouldn't, would you, in fairness?
No, I don't believe him.
No.
So do you think I shouldn't do voices because they're too engaging, the voices?
Oh, if that's how you want to... That's how you want to interpret it, yeah. But
yeah, that is how I want to interpret it.
Let's do the...
Let's read about it. Maybe the comments I'll do in voices.
Yeah.
So, account 2. You know, my sister told me that she saw a stick man too when she was a kid. Alarm bells.
I know. He's already got a person removed.
Back then, it was at our aunt's funeral, and she was sitting outside the funeral when she noted a strange stick-like person walking back and forth above the electric wiring of the pole in front of the funeral, that is. She's more or less 10 walking distance away from the pole. So it's kind of in the air then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it sounds like seeing a shadow or something, I don't know.
Like above, like an electric pylon, sort of walking backward and forward in the air. She got really frightened and she told our cousin to look at it. At first, our cousin didn't believe her, but after a few minutes, she saw the stick man too, and both of them got terrified and told our cousin's mom if she saw the stick man, and she said no. It took several hours. It was noon until dawn before it faded away. I don't really understand that. So it was there.
It's like in the ceiling or something walking.
Well, I don't know. Like it says, it took several hours. It was noon, and it was until dawn before it faded away. But I mean, why were you at a funeral from noon until dawn?
Yeah, and also
was it
like,
Catholic one? Was it?
You didn't see it, but you just decided to hang around there until dawn, and then it.
Well, no, she did see it. The two kids saw it, but the mom didn't see it.
But the mum was happy just hanging out there till dawn.
Yeah,
they went, it's gone now. They went,
long funeral.
We can all go home. Yeah.
Really long funeral.
Well, those requiem masses, Chris. Fucking hell, they last forever. Yeah, you got a day and a night.
So she told the story to me, and I had doubts about it. When I saw this article, I was like, "Wow." I never thought.
Man.
Whoa.
Maybe she was telling the truth.
I can't believe it. Whoa, I never thought a lot of people saw stickmen too from around the world. I thought my sister's simply crazy. And that's from
that's a close working hypothesis to the truth.
Damien Castiglione.
Well, the Casto. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was definitely...
Decast.
Decast coffee. So...
not terribly compelling stories thus far, but somebody who saw something at a funeral and...
Look, just because someone might have an encounter with something, it doesn't mean that they're a natural writer.
That's true.
Like that, you can't have a go at someone just because they're barely literate.
You've got to put the footwork in for the paranormal research, haven't you, Chris? You've got to do the hard yards. Yeah, maybe it doesn't sound that interesting, yeah? You've got to sift those facts for the truth. It's little gold nugs of truth.
Hey, this isn't NCIS, yeah?
Yeah.
We're not the Naval Investigation Team. It's not all going to be exciting.
You thought paranormal investigation would all be like the X-Files, did you? All sexy, yeah? Hanging out with Scully. Yeah. That's not how it works. You got to put the hours in. You got to put the fucking graft in.
After hour, after boring fucking hour, listen to nutter after nutter after nutter, trying to get to a nugget of truth. My wife left me.
Maybe I shouldn't have put 4 years into this. Do you know what?
But I'm here now, and I'm too old to do anything else. I have to believe, otherwise it's been a waste.
What's my life been?
So,
I think I'm going to opt out of the apprenticeship. Decided to take a different career path. Probably wise.
If only someone had told me to do that, son.
Not going to lie, that's probably a right move.
I wouldn't be having my first straightener at 9 a.m. in the morning. So, account 3. The following account is slightly shortened but otherwise unchanged and comes from my diary record for Tuesday, the 31st of October, 1978. Maybe it's from Michael Palin.
I would rely on my memory, but in fact, I have decided to consult my diary. No.
But I'm a very keen diarist.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I wrote about what happened to me. Hopefully, so that everyone will know.
You never know. Something interesting might happen. What's his stick man? You capture that.
Neil, only the names have been changed. We're all aged between 15 and 17 at the time. The Luce Valley referred to is near Maidstone in Kent.
This is all very UK based.
Very UK based, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
UK stickman. My diary record also indicates that there was a new moon on that night. With, I mean, you know, good for
I
you.
wasn't writing about when I was 15, but anyway.
No. Moon is waning.
Is it waxing gibbous or?
Already don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go from the diary. I will record a rather unpleasant experience which took place tonight. A group of about 10 of us was sitting chatting in the loose valley at about midnight. After about 45 minutes, Will leapt to his feet, slapping his head and saying there was a bee in his hair. He looked absolutely terrified. Both Dorothy and I... Both Dorothy and I saw the outline of a tall, thin figure wearing a hat and dancing behind him. Will said later...
Wearing a hat?
Yeah. Will said later it was as if a terrifically loud buzzing was coming up through the top of his head. However, only Rachel heard the buzzing. We partially satisfied ourselves that it must have been a bee's nest, so we moved a little distance away. As we moved away, Dorothy and I saw a ring outlined in the grass, which enclosed where we had been sitting. Eventually, it started raining, so we headed for Rachel's house. After we left, I turned around and saw the same thin black figure walking across the opening between the trees where we had been sitting. We had been sitting in Rachel's bedroom for a while when I looked at Will, who was reading, and saw an amorphous black blob drop out of his hair onto the bed. I was the only one who saw this. A few seconds later, a black shape started whizzing around. The main movement was from the bottom left to the top right as I was sitting, getting larger during the movement and inducing a great fight. About 4 people altogether saw this. Later, the girls slept in a room together. Apparently, Rachel and Molly saw a black blob in the curtains during the night. I, however, had an excellent night's sleep. On first awakening, I saw the thin black figure...
All right, fucking Samuel Pepys. Let's be a bit more concise, yeah?
Well, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
On first awakening, I saw the thin black figure silhouetted against the wardrobe walls. I must admit I lost my calm last night, and I was bloody terrified by the whole thing. So that was the diary. I have now moved away from the southeast, but I occasionally meet Will. Even 20 years later, he has been extremely unwilling to discuss the events that night in any detail, as he has still found the memory disturbing. During our last meeting, I gained a little more of his account. He was not aware of the thin figure which I saw behind him during the initial buzzing. Unprompted by me, he did recall the black blob falling out of his hair, which I thought I alone had witnessed. However, he recalls it dropping onto the page of the book where he was reading rather than onto the bed, as I recalled. We'll also recall more of the girls' account of their night after retiring. Apparently, the blob had several times appeared near the curtains and moved them, while silhouetted against the bright light which appeared to come from outside but did not correspond with any street lamp or lightning cars. This has been the only supernatural experience of my life. Simon. So there you go. There you go, Neil. So this one...
Compelling, Ev.
This one coming in people's houses and stuff.
But also it seems like it's, you know, it can shed off bits of itself that move around autonomously, or...
Is it that, or is it that you're seeing it from a different angle? Because of its crazy... Hair. Yeah, but because of its crazy dimension.
Oh, right, today.
I don't know, Neil.
You see it straight on and it's just then, can't we?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm speculating. So that's pretty much all I have for the Black Stick Men phenomena. It's, you know, terribly compelling. It's very new.
I mean, we'd say it's early doors. So
it is early doors. Yeah. I mean, I've got... So there's a few other bits here in the comment section. It definitely isn't just people
we'll have a look
making
at some
stuff
comments.
up.
Just before we go to there, I would say, has it been in an episode of Supernatural or
No.
or books or plays or things like
that? No, it doesn't even have a wiki page.
Other than villains, what's it? But yeah.
No. It's on believingthebazaar.com, episode 90. Whatever that is. Maybe a podcast, maybe one to check out, probably better than this.
It's now been on this podcast, so that's the second source of verification.
Yeah. I mean, there's the film Stickmen, which is a 2001 New Zealand film, which is really good, actually. I can highly recommend it.
Oh, I've never seen it.
It's about kind of sort of gang stuff, but based around pool hall hustling in Auckland or something, I think.
Does that have anything to do with the stickman phenomenon?
The word stickmen is in both.
Okay, yeah.
So yes, there's a prog band and also a punk band, both called Stickmen. Again, I think it's unrelated.
Yeah, it's a common term.
And stick figure is a simple line drawing that represents a human being. But apart from that, it seems to be a pretty small phenomena for now.
There's some compelling evidence there. There's some real things called stickmen that exist. So yeah,
absolutely. So
let's have some of those comments then before we move on to scores.
327 episodes of Supernatural, Neil. It's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot. I've never seen a single one.
Yeah, I put it on again the other day. So I'm about because
Good as you remember,
huh?
Good as you remember.
Yeah. It's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm down with it. You know, it's a bit of fun. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it at all. No. No, I just couldn't believe it. Like 15 series.
Yeah, that is
of like 23 episodes a series or whatever.
So it must have gone on for about 15 years. Then.
Yeah. So
Riley.
I know, like really long, proper longevity. It's I think you thought that I was further into it than I am, but yeah, I'm like 10 episodes into the first series. So.
Oh, okay, yes.
Right.
Assume because of all those supernatural tattoos that you've got.
No, they're unrelated.
The brothers on one on each cheek.
Again, unrelated. That's just I liked them in different things.
That's how you like to decorate your gluteus maximus.
Hey, man,
that's what it's called. I've been
going down the gym so I can make that eyebrows wiggle.
Yeah.
So Gene Holskovsky says, when I was about 12, my brother and his friends were forced to take me with them to a movie. We've all been there, haven't we?
Oh.
On the way back, it was dark and something was coming across thwarting roads. My brother had to stop the car so we wouldn't hit it. It was a stick man, and it looked right at us as it crossed the road. It wasn't black. It was actually wood, about 1 by 2 inches, not branches, like swordwood that you would see something built with.
There you go.
I've been telling this story ever since.
He's confusing a stick man with a wood monster, but there you go.
Yeah, woodman, completely different.
Very different.
It's basically racism.
Yeah.
Of course, people don't believe me. They believe they believe I say something. I know what I saw.
Yeah.
This wasn't the only one who saw it. Also, we're talking about it after 12 years later, my oldest brother movie. So it's some interesting turns of phrase there.
Yes. There you go. Internet comments not necessarily the best written things.
William Thornton says, remember that virtually all scientific studies and conclusions are anecdotal. The existence of Mongolia is also anecdotal. There is no evidence you can provide which I can't cast doubt on or discount.
Somebody with a firm grasp on what scientific theory means.
Almost everything we know is anecdotal.
Right, David Hume,
at the end of
skeptic boy.
At the end of the day, we are evaluating stories. We rarely have absolute proof. I am 100% sure that the stickman exists, even if I haven't seen it. My intuition says that they are telling the truth. There is a chance for wrong identification, but those can be weeded out on a situational basis.
I mean, you can't tell if that's somebody being sarcastic or not, but
there aren't any other known creatures it can be mistaken for either. Most people generally don't lie about such things either. Plus, there's a wide geography and time period for encounters. Most people live in ignorance and denial about the things going on around them. Now we are left to figure out what they are. The existence of black-eyed children has already been established also. They're another weird phenomenon. It's true. Wouldn't have said that a few years back, but now got them in zoos.
Yeah. You can adopt them, can't you?
Well, you can't. You just put them in your earring cupboard, and they dry out.
Oh. My name's Mud at the adoption agency.
So I saw at least, Jennifer says, I saw at least 20 walking stick people. The moon was so bright in the distance, shadows kept catching eyes, and I've seen what looked to be 8 to 11 feet last night in the White Tank Mountains, which led me to look up. I've never heard of them. I don't know what is, went only that moving stick figures were out there. And someone asks, very saliently, was it near a body of water? So no, I'm not going to read any more of these because
they weren't terribly compelling. No.
They're not compelling, and also they're quite nonsensical.
Yeah.
And I don't mean nonsensical as in the content. I mean as in the actual sentences and use of language. So no, let's go to our calls. I know, fuck me. What happened to us? God, we got so since this success has really gone to our head, hasn't it?
Oh, I'll tell you what.
The success of getting to 100 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would just call it stick-to-itiveness, but so Neil,
spookiness,
Stickman, spookiness.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd sort of seen it, would be. I think the phrase we use is sort of uncanny. If you saw one of these in the wild, I think people are struggling to. We always say like, "Oh, it looked at me." I don't know how you'd know it was like looking at you versus, walking away or whatever. Given they've got no features. But it's kind of almost hard to imagine. But I think if you did see something that it would look really kind of weird and eerie. I think that's probably what would. I mean, there's nothing in here that they actually, on that thing, there was a thing about them having malevolent force or, be psychic vampires or whatever. That doesn't seem very much. Doesn't seem to be a lot of evidence around that. They seem to do a lot. I think it's more one of those kind of like, oh, this is a cool concept, something that's more or less more sort of two-dimensional in a three-dimensional world, which is kind of freaky, but that's kind of the only trick they've got up their sleeves. So I think once you'd sort of like gotten over that, I think you'd probably be more curious than anything else as to what exactly it was. So I was thinking of initially it would be quite, but no, it's going to go down the spooky scale for me. I'm going to give it a 4. It's not really that. 4. Yeah.
So
but early days, it could go up to a 10, Chris. Once I know more.
So they're not doing any. They're not like harming anyone. They don't, or that we know of.
It's their own business.
But
chilling out in 2 dimensions.
Yeah, I just think that anything that was fucking around with your dimensional perception, I think would rock your brain quite a lot. So I think that it would be it would take your breath away. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like, I can't compute. So I think that's fairly spooky. I'm going to give it a 6. So believability. I mean, it's not high, is it?
Can't really be.
I mean, do you know what? Like, unlike some of them, there are some stories, some witness accounts. Wink, wink. I believe. It's. I think that some people probably believe they have seen it, or they've heard about it, and then they recall seeing something weird when they were a kid. It could have been a shadow or something, but because they were kids, they kind of, they've embellished the memory and stuff. Yeah. So I think that some people believe it. I don't, two-dimensional creatures. I mean, I guess why not? I mean, cells are almost two-dimensional, aren't they? But no.
Three-dimensional.
I know, but almost two-dimensional because they're so small.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4 for believability now.
Yeah, it's very low on that scale for me as well. Again, obviously, do I believe in them? No, there's nothing compelling. It comes down to I'm not even convinced that anyone believes it themselves. You can't really tell with a bunch of internet comments, and then all of the verifications are at third hand, so it's going to be a 2 for me.
2. Very low. So narrative premise now.
Yeah, I think there's a little something here. So I think they're kind of. I think because they're so sort of blank, you can describe all sorts of things. I mean, you'd have to. I mean, interdimensional beings, so that's quite an interesting one. They come from somewhere else. The fact that they might have sort of, they don't they don't adhere to our kind of like thoughts about how organisms would work and things like that. So, yeah, I think you could come up with something quite interesting. You have to fill in a lot of the gaps. So I'm going to give it a 6 because I don't think there's a lot there inherently. Because all the stuff around, psychic vampirism and stuff, I think was just being made up. But
yeah,
there doesn't seem to be a lot of that in the backstory. But I think you could do stuff with this.
Yeah, I agree because there's no reason why. Theoretically, there's no reason why, if you believe in string theory, there's no reason why a two-dimensional being couldn't exist in our universe. If it was going along
the three-dimensional world, yeah.
Yeah, they could technically. So, that's quite interesting. And you would only be able to see them from one angle or whatever. So, I mean, I'm not sure that that's necessarily where people were going, where this came, or whether we're putting a flourish on or whatever. But I think there's something interesting there, and interdimensional stuff interests me a lot anyway. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 as well. And reach, so not very big. It's not even that massive on the internet, really. Although it does seem to span a few different countries, but I mean, realistically, I'm going to give it a 2. No.
Yeah, probably likewise. I don't see much evidence that it's sort of gone outside of just like a few forums and things. It doesn't seem to be that big there anyway. So yeah, 2 cents about right for me as well.
That gives us an overall score of 32-0. So quite a low one, but it's new, isn't it?
Yeah, it's new. It's a bit different. I don't think we've come across we've done interdimensional stuff before, I think, but I don't think we've had like a 2D villain. So yeah.
Worth having a look at.
Something a bit different, isn't it?
So if you have seen any stickmen or any other kind of child's pictures have come to life, then you can get in contact at
got any proof? We'd love to see it.
Yeah, .legends.pod@gmail.com. We have a Twitter thing now, or X, or whatever you want to call it, which is Legends Urban, and I haven't really put anything on there. But beyond that, I've
got a friend, Elon Musk. Stop tweeting out a load of conspiracy theories.
But yeah, that's it for this week. And I hope you have a nice week, whatever you're doing. And we'll be back same time, same place next week with another Urbane Legend.
You better believe it. Have a good one. Goodbye.